Hi, Dr. Hedengren. This is Joshua Kim, and I'm representing the group Solar Trackers, and I am presenting on behalf of myself, Cody Frankham, and Jared Schauman. We figured that it would be more efficient and easier to understand if it was just one person presenting, so I decided to take on the responsibility. So we are called the Trackers because we really like solar panels, and solar energy works because these panels are able to obtain energy from sunlight. However, the sun is not in a fixed position in the sky. It goes across the horizon throughout the day, meaning that in order to get the maximum amount of energy from this sunlight, you need to have a controller that manipulates the solar panel in order to get it perpendicular to the light, such as this. And you have different kinds of controllers. Some of them you might only have ones that work in the vertical direction and ones that only work in the horizontal direction, just because for cost reasons. But the most optimal ones are ones that control the panel and move it in two directions to get it to be perfectly perpendicular to the sun. So that's what we did in our project. We have two servos. We have a bottom servo that is attached to a mount so it doesn't move, and attached to that bottom servo is another servo. So this bottom servo moves the apparatus in the horizontal direction, while the top servo that is glued onto the bottom one is moving it in the vertical direction. So we have two dimensions of movement, and these are attached to an Arduino, which is telling it what to do. And attached to our servos are the most important part. These are the light sensors. We use light-dependent resistors from the electrical engineering shop. And these light-dependent resistors convert light energy and convert it into a voltage, which is then read through into the Arduino and converted into a signal and allows us to control it. So there's one on each of these corners, one right here, one on the other side, one right here, one right here. So there's 4 different light resistors, and these are taking the light and minimizing the difference between all 3 of them, and making sure that none of them are covered by shadow and that they are all seeing light. And once they're all seeing light, that's the perpendicular direction to the sun or any other fixed light source. Problems that we were seeing were that we used to have a wooden crossbar, but this was creating this was getting way too much torque on our servos. And once it got below about 30 degrees below the horizontal in the vertical direction, the servos didn't have enough power to actually bring the crossbar back up. So we decided to use a more lighter cardboard, which is a little bit more stiff than paper, but much lighter than wood. So after we did that, we were able to create our controller. So this is a brute force controller, and this is just minimizing the difference between the light, minimizing the difference seen by the light sensors. And it's doing this all on its own, but it's more of a brute force controller. So this means that we haven't implemented any PI control yet. It is just the Arduino code trying to minimize this difference without any tuning parameters. It's still doing really cool stuff, but it isn't quite optimized yet. So after doing this, we decided to put in PI control in the vertical and the horizontal directions, and these allow us to create tuning parameters which we were able to implement our PI controller. And after implementing that PI controller using this code, so there's different code that does different things. Right here we have code that controls and averages the light that is received by the sensors. And then we have code right here that checks the difference of the up and the down directions and minimizes those so that the light seen by those is the same, which gives us the optimal direction of perpendicular to the light source. And then we have our tuning parameters, and we have our controller that uses those tuning parameters and is able to constantly change and optimize our controller to see the point of greatest light. And after that, we're able to come up with this controller right here. Sorry for the lower definition, it just it uploaded a little bit weird. But so it does look a bit similar to our previous video, but this one is much more accurate, and it makes extremely tiny adjustments to make sure that it's seeing the optimal direction. As you can see, it's a little bit slower, but that's because it's doing all the calculations, making sure that it reads it and calculates the true perpendicular to the light source. And we thank you, Dr. Bundy, for all of your work on this project, and we thank you for the opportunity we had to work on this project. And I had a lot of fun, and I have a lot to tell my friends and my family.